Welcome to The Critique. Today, we're looking at an essay that uses medical metaphors to explore why older adults often prefer stability in relationships. Let's get right into it. The first major area to address is the pretty significant clash between the visual presentation and the intellectual depth of the content itself.
It creates this jarring dissonance, right from the start. The text is rich with these really sophisticated concepts. The author's using terms like parasympathetic balance, cognitive strain, mirror neurons. These are serious clinical ideas that build an authoritative voice.
Right, they establish a certain expertise.
Exactly. But the page is just, it's littered with emojis. We've got stethoscopes, laughing faces, surfers. It feels like a social media caption trying to hold an academic essay.
So you've got this doctor's voice, but they're wearing a clown nose.
That's a perfect way to put it. The authority of that medical perspective is just constantly being undercut by how casual all the visuals are.
So the author really needs to commit to a lane here. It's either a casual social media post or it's a credible evidence-based lifestyle piece.
They can't be both.
And to maximize the impact of these metaphors, the suggestion is really just to strip out all that visual clutter. Let the writing do the work.
And the writing becomes so much stronger when you do. Look at that first paragraph. The text talks about how relationships interact with other medications and might cause side effects if poorly matched.
Which is a brilliant comparison.
It is, but right at the end of the sentence, there's that sweat drop smiling face emoji. And that little icon is basically telling the reader, hey, this was a joke. You should laugh now. It just kills the wit.
It deflates it completely.
Yeah. If you just delete that emoji, the comparison of a partner to a bad prescription, it stands on its own as this sharp, dry, clinical observation. It goes from being a gag to being genuinely witty.
You're basically telling the author to trust their own writing. Don't apologize for it with a smiley face.
Trust is exactly the word. And look, it happens again in the section on depression and cognitive decline. This is a heavy, serious point about aging.
Right.
But the author ends that sentence with a chart decreasing emoji, a little cartoon graph. It just trivializes the gravity of cognitive decline.
So the fix isn't just deleting the emoji.
No, it's replacing it with stronger prose. Instead of a picture of a line going down, write a sentence that actually emphasizes the clinical weight of that risk. Make the reader feel the decline through the words, not a piece of clip art.
And this issue, this sort of showing versus telling with visuals, it comes up again with the Michael anecdote.
The everyone laughed part. That is probably the weakest moment in the whole piece. Michael makes a joke about wanting stable Wi-Fi over romance.
And the text just says, everyone laughed, with the emoji.
Yeah, it reduces a whole room of people to a text message thread. So the concrete suggestion is to rewrite that reaction as a proper narrative scene. Don't tell us they laughed, describe the quality of the laughter.
Was it a big belly laugh or something else?
Exactly. Or was it more like a collective, knowing nod from a room of peers who get exactly what he means? If you describe that collective exhale of recognition, you elevate the writing from a caption to an actual scene. It reinforces the whole theme of shared experience.
Okay, so once we strip away those distractions, the next major structural issue really comes into focus. The piece reads more like an episodic list of anecdotes, not a cohesive argument.
The transitions are basically non-existent. We have Michael from the US, then James from England, then Liam from New Zealand.
Right.
It just reads like, here's one example. Okay, here's another one. And now a third. The only thing connecting them is geography.
Which is totally irrelevant to the thesis about aging in relationships.
Completely irrelevant. There's no logical reason we're moving from the US to the UK to New Zealand other than, I guess, the author's travel plans.
So the suggestion to fix that disjointed feeling is to reorder and link the anecdotes based on the physiological progression of the argument itself.
Yes, you have to map the essay to the human body. And the content of the stories, if you look closely, it actually gives you the roadmap. Michael talks about cognitive strain, memory, brain health.
Okay, so the brain?
James talks about heart rate, tachycardia, and the sympathetic nervous system.
The heart.
And Liam talks about surfing, injury, rehabilitation. The progression is right there, staring you in the face.
So you're suggesting a move from the head to the heart to the body?
It's the only flow that makes logical sense. You start with Michael. That establishes the head, the cognitive load of drama. That's the foundation.
Right.
Then you use a real transition to move to James. You show how that mental stress actually travels down and manifests in the cardiovascular system, the heart.
And then Liam is the conclusion of that physical journey.
Exactly. You end with the musculoskeletal system, the physical wear and tear of it all, the body. And this lets you write transitions that actually mean something.
Something more than, and then in England?
Yeah, you can write something like, once we understand that drama taxes the brain, as Michael suggests, we can see how that stress travels physically to the heart. It creates a real narrative arc. It turns a list of stories into a full-body diagnosis.
It says medicine, but it kind of stops short. It doesn't fully exploit the framework.
It really doesn't. The author touches on these brilliant concepts, but lets them go too quickly. They'll mention primary prevention or rehabilitation medicine, which are such high-value phrases.
And then they just drop them.
They drop them to get to the next joke. Then, near the end, we get this analogy about supportive footwear. And it's fine, it's an okay analogy, but it feels so disconnected from the cardiology and neurology stuff from earlier.
It's like we left the hospital and went to a shoe store.
Exactly. It dilutes the whole medical report aesthetic.
So the suggestion is to deepen that commitment to the clinical frame. Use the language of a medical report as a structural device all the way through.
All the way. We need to replace generic descriptions with specific clinical terms. Take the section on Liam, the surfer. Right now, it just says there's a risk of injury.
Which is just generic sports commentary.
Right? To make this a clinical essay, change injury to something like relationship triage. You could discuss the recovery time required for emotional soft tissue injuries when you're 50 versus when you're 20.
Oh, that creates a much more vivid image.
It fits the theme perfectly. And you can do the same thing with James.
With the cardiology section?
Yeah. Right now it says he doesn't need excitement that spikes his heart rate. We can make that so much stronger. Contrast the excitement explicitly with tachycardia, and contrast the calm companionship with normal sinus rhythm.
So you're diagnosing the excitement itself as a pathology.
You're diagnosing it as an arrhythmia. It reinforces the idea that drama isn't just annoying, it is physiologically unhealthy. It's bad for your heart.
There was another missed opportunity, too, in that part about shared humor.
It says that explaining cultural references can feel isolating, which is a sociological term. We're in a clinical essay, so let's frame that lack of shared references as a failure of neural compatibility.
Or a lack of synaptic connection.
Exactly. If the essay is about biology, keep the language biological. Keep the reader in the exam room right to the very end.
Okay, let's talk about that ending. The fourth and final area is sharpening the so what. The conclusion is warm, it's comforting, but it lacks a provocative edge. It doesn't drive the message home.
The current ending, medicine often hides its best advice inside a smile, is poetic, sure, but it's passive. It allows the reader to just nod, agree, feel good.
And then move on. It lets them off the hook.
It totally lets them off the hook. And that vague reference to a podcast guest representing the loud minority misses a chance to really challenge the cultural narrative more aggressively.
So the suggestion is to shift that final tone from just observation to prescription. Make the reader actually question their own health metrics.
We need to turn the essay into an active challenge for the reader. Look at the primary prevention paragraph. Instead of just stating that a stable partner is primary prevention, ask the reader a question.
A direct question.
A direct question. Are your current relationships acting as preventative care, or are they a risk factor? Force them to audit their own life.
That also strengthens the rebuttal to that loud minority.
It does. Instead of just saying clinical reality is quieter, argue that clinical reality is statistically significant. Use the language of data to dismiss the cultural noise.
I like that.
And finally, that line about supportive footwear, it's a good image, but we need to make it actionable. Don't just say a relationship should feel like supportive footwear. Suggest the reader check the fit of their current partner right now.
Ask them. From "this is what I think" to "this is what you need to do to survive."
It transforms the conclusion from a closing thought into a medical directive. It leaves the reader with a task, which is always more memorable than leaving them with a nice sentiment.
All right, let's summarize the main action items for the listener. First, sanitize the tone. The emojis are distracting, they undermine the intellectual weight of your metaphors, so get rid of them. Let the concepts stand on their own.
Let the writing breathe.
Second, structure the physiology. Don't organize the anecdotes by geography. Organize them by the body. Brain, heart, body. That creates a logical progression.
It gives it a real narrative arc.
Third, commit to the bit. Go all in on the medical metaphors. Use terms like triage, tachycardia, and synaptic connection. Turn the whole essay into a clinical report.
Don't just dip your toe in.
And finally, prescribe. Don't just describe. Turn your conclusion into an active challenge. Ask the reader to audit their own relationship health.
Make them question if their partner is a risk factor or a form of preventative care.
This piece has such a fantastic core concept. That relationships as medicine angle is original and really compelling. With these shifts, it can go from a clever post to a truly profound piece of lifestyle philosophy. We invite you to apply these edits, strip the visuals, reorder the body, sharpen the vocabulary, and prescribe the solution, and resubmit the work for a follow-up. Thank you for listening to the